Yes, Mataji. Okay, whose voice we are
Can I
missing?
sing, Masterji? Because I didn't.
Yes, please.
I have been.
I was looking at you.
I am a missing species.
Yeah, you're always there, Mataji. How are you feeling today?
Yeah, better. Actually, I'm back after an exam.
Okay, I can feel the relief. So please.
Yes,
Sing
it
it
was a
out.
final exam. Okay, jump. I hope I still remember the tone and everything lah. Okay, one.
Oh, like that.
Okay. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine.
Nama
Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namini.
Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine.
Namaste.
Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paschatya Desatarini.
Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Sri
Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare Rama
Rama
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Ibo, thank you, Rasni
Ibo.
Mataji. So
Yeah.
nice. All the Matajis, thank you so much. Okay, so good evening.
It
Welcome.
feels good, Mataji, because I was missing for quite some time, Quite a
Hmm.
lot of challenging situations I went through. I was so sad actually. Yeah, I didn't get to go for PG class today. Wow, so in my mind, I was like, Krishna, 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 Krishna. Somehow
It's
I landed.
all the game of the three modes of material nature. That is the material nature, Mataji.
Somehow I came today, even if I had exams. I know I put already in my mind. Somehow I must come today. I have no problems now. I will definitely come. So I came.
Yeah, and you can focus. Even last week you were around, right? But you were just
Yeah.
listening, right? So at least
Yes.
something, there is enthusiasm, there is determination. This is what Krishna will see. Okay, so many people can give so many reasons for not to attend class, but if you have one reason to attend the class, that is what Krishna will see. Okay, so there is never a loss. Okay, no matter how much you're participating or you are there or not. Okay, there's never a loss. Thank you, Rasni Mataji. Okay, so let's go to Hungary, and they have very beautiful Radha Krishna deity. So before we see the Radha Krishna deity, we take blessings from Sri Sri Gauranita, ISKCON Hungary. Beautiful, right? Look at that face. Oh my God, like so melting. Okay, ta-da! Sri Sri Radha Shama Sundara. They usually this ISKCON in other countries they have names, right? So this temple's name is ISKCON Nava Vraja Dham. Okay, but otherwise it's called ISKCON Hungary. Okay, on FB they have this demonstration how the devotees decorate the deities, how they do the alankar for the Radharani, for Krishna, how they paint the face, how they adorn them with the ornaments and the garlands and the dress. Wow, it's really nice. How do they do the buns and hair, all that? So they will show that. Okay, so let me offer praise to spiritual teachers. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vinashna Shrimati Namini. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksurumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, just give me a moment. Okay, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Okay, so let's have somebody to read the introduction, the understanding of Gita. Anybody?
I read Mataji.
Okay, Mataji.
In this world, men are not meant for quarreling like cats and dogs. Men must be intelligent to realize the importance of human life and refuse to act like ordinary animals. A human being should realize the aim of his life, and this direction is given in all Vedic literatures, and the essence is given in Bhagavad Gita. Vedic literature is meant for human beings, not for animals. Animals can kill other living animals, and there is no question of sin on their part. But if a man kills an animal for the satisfaction of his uncontrolled taste, he must be responsible for breaking the laws of nature. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly explained that there are three kinds of activities according to the different modes of nature: the activities of goodness, of passion, and of ignorance. Similarly, there are three kinds of eatables also: eatables in goodness, passion, and ignorance. All of this is clearly described And if we properly utilize the instructions of Bhagavad Gita, then our whole life will become purified, and ultimately we will be able to reach the destination which is beyond this material world.
World. Yes. Thank you, Mataji. You made that. Very good. So you understand the point. Okay. So Srila Prabhupada here is stressing on the point that Vedic scripture is not meant for plants or animals. It's meant for human beings. Okay. So that is why animals do not have rules and regulations, and they are on autopilot mode. Okay. So their actions will not give them any reactions. But human being, they have manuals and guidelines, policies and SOP. So if you don't follow, then you will get reactions. Okay, so that is why there are guidelines for human to follow. There are manuals for mankind for them to follow. If you don't follow, then there is reaction. Okay, so we're going to recap the whole Bhagavad Gita in 3 sections. Who can tell me in your own words, when I say 3 sections of Bhagavad Gita, who can tell me? What is your understanding? So remember the burger, the sandwich? So we were doing this since chapter 13, right? 13 part 1, 13 part 2. This is the 3rd day. We will look at the sandwich. So based on your understanding in the last 2 classes, who can explain this? How this Bhagavad Gita is divided into 3 sections? Come on, let's try. Level 2. Come on, y'all can do it. Don't be shy. If it's wrong, it's okay. No worries. This is not exam, because I want to know which part that you don't understand. Then I will fill in the gap. Otherwise, I'm going to repeat whole thing and probably you will get bored. Oh, Mataji, we know this already. Fingertips, Mataji. So this is the chance for you to speak whatever that you can remember. Let's talk about how many yogas are there. This 3 sections, right, is split into 3 yogas. What are those? Come on.
Karma yoga.
What, Mataji? Sorry?
Karma yoga.
Very good.
Jnana yoga.
Jnana yoga.
Very good.
Bhakti yoga.
Okay, very good. So this mainly 3 yogas. Now, so we have just now randomly Rasni Mataji and Lata Mataji shared Karma yoga, Jnana yoga, and Bhakti yoga. So who can put that in sequence? From what chapter to what chapter, what yoga? From what chapter to what chapter is what yoga? What is the 3rd section? Who can tell me that? Let's go first 6 chapters. What is it about?
Jnana yoga.
First 6 chapters, chapter 1 to 6.
Is it Jnana yoga?
Bhakti through work.
Karma
Yes.
yoga?
Correct. The first section is Karma yoga. Karma means what Karma yoga
Action.
talks about? Yes, action or
Yeah.
somebody said earlier, Bhakti through?
Through work.
Yes, so Bhakti through work. You have to understand the entire Bhagavad Gita is about Bhakti. Okay, and these 3 sections talk about how to achieve Bhakti. All right, so first 6 chapter is achieve Bhakti through work. What is the next 6 chapter? What is the last 6 chapter that we are on now currently?
Jnana.
Jnana yoga?
Very
Jnana yoga.
good. So what does that mean? Achieve?
Achieve Bhakti through knowledge.
Very good. By achieve Bhakti through knowledge. Very nice. Happy today. Finally, what is the middle 6th chapter is about?
Devotional service.
Very nice. It's the Bhakti itself. Okay, so there are 3 main processes: Karma, Jnana, and Bhakti. So Bhakti is in the middle portion of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna covered it nicely, carefully. Okay, so we started the Jnana Yoga section with chapter 13. So this is Jnana section. Using Jnana to achieve Bhakti. Okay, all right. So why we are learning Bhakti through Jnana Yoga? We're going to get detached from Maya. If you detach yourself from Maya, where are you going to get yourself attached to?
Krishna.
To Krishna.
Yes, attachment to Krishna. So what is the purpose of us getting this knowledge? It's actually different words, but the meaning is the same. When you detach, when you have detachment from Maya, you're attaching to Krishna, and then you utilize the knowledge to
Attain devotion.
very good. Mataji wrote it down, is it?
Yeah.
Very nice. Okay. All right. So do you remember the elements of the bodies? How many elements are there? This is going back to chapter 13, part 1. You know the diagrams, right?
5
The
elements.
Panchabhuta and everything, right?
5 elements.
5
Mm.
elements. Mataji.
Total elements, how many?
24.
24.
Very nice. 24. What is the first? How do we divide it? What is that first one? What is that? Panchabhuta. What is that?
Elements.
Yes. 5 gross elements. What are those? What are those?
Air,
Fire,
fire,
water, air, earth, and Akash.
ether.
Etheric space.
Yes, earth, water, fire, air, ether. The next, knowledge acquiring senses, also 5. Okay. How we acquire knowledge? Through eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin. So I tell why we are going through this, because it's got very strong relation to our chapter 14. Okay. Next, we have 5 working senses. Can somebody tell what are those working senses? What are the senses working in our body? I'm
Voice.
speaking. Yeah, I'm speaking
Voice.
now, so I'm using voice. Okay. When you walk, what do you use?
Leg.
Legs.
All right. Then I gave the clue already, right? So why 5 working senses?
Hand.
Any more?
Hand.
Yes. And
Ears.
our discharges?
Genital.
No, ears, organs, knowledge acquiring senses. These are the places, these are the channels that we get knowledge. When you see, oh, okay, this is how the form will look like. When you hear, oh, this is how it sounds like. When you use your nose, then you know, oh, okay, this is how it smells like. So like this, these are knowledge acquiring senses. So, and these are working senses. What do you use to work? You use voice to work. You use voice to talk. You have legs to walk, hands to do work, and we have 2 more working senses. The
And
what do you
ears
call
and
it?
genital.
Yes, correct. What do we call it in science? These 2. It's not reproduction. Reproduction is genitals. We have these 2. We call it. I forgot. There's a
What
science
exactly,
term.
Mataji?
These 2, right? What do we call them? Like genital, we know one of it is reproduction organ. But if you want, if the anus and genital, we have this. You know what I want to say is we discharge waste. There is a biological term to that. So I forgot. Any biology students here?
I am a biology student.
Okay.
I'm trying to figure out what exactly you are asking. Is it cell
System
or what exactly?
pancharna. I know it's how you discharge your waste, right? That is a term for that, right? So, anyways,
Feces,
if you were, sorry,
Krishna.
sorry, I couldn't hear.
Feces, Mataji?
No, that one is the product, right? So I'm asking about the organs. So I mean, I just want to categorize them so we can remember easily. Okay. So next we have sense objects, 5 sense objects. Okay. So how do we define or view certain things? Okay. We use eyes to see forms. We use ear to hear sound. Okay. Nose to smell, tongue to taste, skin to touch. We sense things. Okay. All right. So we have something called 3 elements. What is that?
Subtle body. Subtle element.
Very good. Subtle body. What is it comprised of?
Mind, body, and intelligence.
Yes. Hold on.
Mind, intelligence, and ego. Mind,
What did you say just now, Mataji? Sorry, I didn't.
intelligence. I said mind, body.
No, not body. Body here. The 1, 2, 3, 4.
No,
This
I
four
my
already covered
intelligence and
body.
ego. My intelligence and ego.
Yeah, so it can't be body because the body has been covered here, the first four,
Mhm.
all right?
Yeah.
Yes, the fifth category is three subtle body. We have mind, intelligence, and false ego. Why do we call false ego, Mataji?
False ego. We think
What is the true
I am
ego and what is the false
the
ego? Why
body.
is it true and false?
I am the body. And
What
I
is
am
that?
uh,
False
that
ego means I am the body.
means means I identify myself with
Mm.
the body.
So what is the opposite term?
Illusion. Illusion.
Yeah, okay, illusion. So what is the opposite of this? What is the true ego or real ego? What is that? What does that mean? What does true ego or real ego means? I think recently I shared in the group. It's a very simple poster. What is the difference between false ego and real ego? Cepat, scroll the group now. Who can give me the answer? If the false ego referring to we are the body, what could be the real ego?
Sola.
Yeah, so if the false ego says we are the controller, what is the real ego? Yes, correct, Lata Mataji. So what is that? What is the reality? So, okay, so this one, real ego is our very essence, the consciousness that makes us aware and awake to reality. So what is this reality? We want to be very direct to the point.
That we are soul, Mataji.
Yes, that is true. That is true. We are spirit soul. We are not the body, we are spirit soul. So basically it's the opposite. Okay, so we covered this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These 5 sections we covered in chapter 13, part 1. We left 1. We did not cover. If you count all these, you will get how many? You will see that we have 1 more that we haven't covered. Okay, that is called pradhana. Pradhana means the 3 modes of material nature in unmanifested form. So this is what we are going to do today. What we are going to see, what is this pradhana? Pradhana means the 3 modes of material nature. This is what we're going to see today. Okay. 24 field of activities. Okay. 13.22. This is the verse to link chapter 13 and chapter 14. Okay. So how many questions Arjuna asked? All buka nota buku nota? How many questions Arjuna asked?
Means 5 or 6 forget already.
Cannot give me all.
84, Mataji.
No, not so many, La Mataji. In this chapter, in chapter 13, Arjuna asked.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
5
yes.
or 6, I know,
Six,
remember.
Mataji.
6.
Yeah, 6. Okay, very good. What are those questions?
Uh,
I wish to know about Prakti,
Very good.
then Purusha,
Mm-hmm.
the feel and the knower,
Very good, very good. 3 and 4.
knowledge,
Yes, 5.
object of knowledge.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. Okay, so how Krishna answered? Which is the question that Krishna answered first? Did he follow the sequence? Did he go
No,
by
Mataji.
Prakriti first, Purusha first, then feel, then knower? Did he go like that?
No.
No. So what did Krishna do? What did he explain first?
He said he is the knower in all bodies.
There's a bee in my room. He spoke about field first.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes.
The
Okay,
body.
what is the next thing he spoke about?
knower of the field.
Yes. How many knowers?
Two knowers.
Two knowers. Who are those?
The super soul and the
super soul and-
individual soul.
Spirit soul and super soul. Very good. Okay. Next. So Krishna answered number 1, field. Number 2, knower. Then number 3, knowledge. What is that knowledge about? What is knowledge? Knowledge.
Buddhi,
What is the knowledge?
Is it to understand this body and its knower? It's called knowledge.
Yes. Which verse is that, Mataji? We did this last week.
13.3.
Very nice. Can you read that, please, Mataji?
O Sion of Bharata, you should understand that I am also the knower in all bodies. And to understand this body and its knower is called knowledge. That is
Very
my opinion.
Yes. So the knowledge is to understand the relationship between the body and the knower, the field and the knower. That is knowledge. Okay. Finally, object of knowledge. What is object of knowledge? What is the end of knowledge? What is the conclusion of our knowledge? It's very simple. The hero of the Bhagavad Gita. What is the object of knowledge?
Krishna.
Yes. So object of knowledge is Krishna. Who can find? Is there an answer for that? Is there a verse that Krishna specifically says that I am the object of knowledge? Can we actually find that? Is there a verse on that? Bhagavad Gita. Open. I don't hear anybody flipping the pages. Oh, you have
I have very slowly.
Yeah. Come. Open. Otherwise, we won't remember, Mataji. I found it. I know Krishna said it somewhere. It's just sometimes I forget the numbers. So now I found the number.
Means text 13.
No.
13.14, Mataji.
No. Krishna is very direct. Krishna is never beat around the bush. He's never vague. So that's why Bhagavad Gita, as it is, if you read as it is and translated directly, it's easier for us to understand. No, laced with so many flowery words, nothing. I wait, because I want to show you all that Krishna is very direct. He gives the answer there. Go a little bit further than text 13, Mataji.
Okay.
So I don't mind taking the time as long we can absorb the knowledge.
13.19.
Oh, you overshot.
Text 17. 13.17.
Still not there yet.
Or 16. The Supreme Truth.
No. Gone too behind already. After 17, what do we have?
We have 16.
18. He is the
Yeah.
source of light.
18. Oh.
He is the source of light in all luminous objects. Is that?
Continue, Mataji.
He is beyond the darkness of matter and is unmanifested. He is knowledge. He is the object of knowledge and he is the goal of knowledge. He is situated in everyone's heart.
Yes. So this is the object of knowledge. The object of knowledge is realizing the super soul in our self. All right. And Krishna later on, he will say that I am the super soul. Like that. This is how Krishna builds up his arguments. Okay. So now we know Krishna has given direct answers for all this: field, knower, knowledge, and object of knowledge. And then in part 2, we learned Prakriti and Purusha. Okay, Prakriti means material nature, Purusha means enjoyer. Okay, so there is a supreme enjoyer, Krishna, and there is us, the small Purusha, small enjoyer. Why? Because we think that we are the controller, we also own these things. So we have the tendency to enjoy, therefore we are also called enjoyer. Okay, but we need to distinguish between the small Purusha and the supreme Purusha. Okay, so let's zoom into this nature. So in this nature, there are 3 modes of material nature. This nature actually binds us to our consciousness through our activities, which ultimately gives us the next. What happens? What we get? If you have listened to me carefully, I'm expecting you to fill in the blank. The interaction of this body with the material nature influences our consciousness that determine our next
life.
Next life, next birth.
Okay, can you be more direct?
Next.
Our next birth.
Okay.
Reincarnation.
Okay. I'm still from my reaction, I know. Okay, Mataji is waiting for one specific term.
Clue, Mataji.
Clue starts with B.
Body.
Yeah. Next, body. Isn't it? Ultimately, that's what we are so worried about. What are we going to do next life? What body we are going to get? Taking a birth, taking another life, it may not be a big problem for many people. All right. But what body you're going to get, that is the concern. Okay. Right. So please read this translation, somebody. Did somebody read this earlier? No, right? Not yet, right? Come, somebody, please.
I read, Mataji.
Okay.
The living entity in material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the 3 modes of nature. This is due to his association with the material nature. Thus, he meets with good and evil among various species.
Okay, so this is how he gets different various births, various bodies in his next life, because he's enjoying the 3 modes of nature. Okay, so these 3 modes we will see more in chapter 16, 17, and 18, but now chapter 14 is setting the concept of it. Okay, due to this association. Okay. So ultimately, why the transmigration happens is because of our desire to enjoy. Okay, we are the Purusha, we are the enjoyer. Right, so now only we are entering chapter 14. Okay, but so far you have gotten the fundamentals, right? Okay, why we are here and what is this material nature? Okay. All embodied souls are under the control of the 3 modes of qualities of material nature: goodness, passion, ignorance. So at this point of time, you all know about these 3 modes. All right. I hope there's nobody who still thinks that, still confused about these 3 modes. If there is, please let me know. Okay. So at this point, this should go into our mind already by heart and fingertips: goodness, passion, ignorance. Okay. And also follow the sequence. Okay. Lord Krishna explains, okay, basically this is the overview of chapter 14. What are these modes? You already know: goodness, passion, ignorance. How they act upon us, this is what we want to know, all right? And the symptoms who attain the transcendental state. So Mataji, goodness, passion, ignorance. So if this all can bind us into transmigration, then which state we should come to, right? If you don't want to transmigrate anymore. So that state is called transcendental or spiritual. So you will not fall under these 3 modes. Okay. And Arjuna will ask, what are the symptoms of one who attained the transcendental state? Which means he's asking Krishna, how does a person who has gone beyond this, gone beyond these 3 modes will behave like? So this is the symptoms that Arjuna will ask. And then finally he would ask, oh, these are the symptoms. Okay, Krishna, tell me how to transcend this. Okay, so basically he's asking all the concepts, and then finally he asks, okay, how do I do this? Like you go for a business, oh, okay, how much I get this? Or how many people I need to put in under my legs? Oh, okay, so how do I do this? So this is how Arjuna builds up his questions, okay? So in comparison to our level 1, you will have basically the similar verses. So I will not run in so much deep into these sections. As you see the slides, it will ring a bell to you, all right? You will remember, you will recall, you'll be able to recall the concepts behind the slides and the verses. Okay, so today I'm just going to go on concept basis. Okay, so just a couple of verses extra and differences. All right, so of course, first, this part is pretty important. How the three modes binding us. Okay, goodness only what, Mataji? Isn't it good? Okay, well, at least I'm not passionate or ignorant. Yeah, so we want to know why goodness is not good after all, right? It's better than compared to the other two, but it's still not the best. All right, and then the symptoms and how do we transcend that. Okay, so basically this is that. All right. Okay, so it starts with Krishna glorifying the knowledge that he's going to give in chapter 14. Okay, so sometimes Krishna gives this glorification because he wants us to know that how important the knowledge is. Okay, so can we have somebody to read verse 14.1?
Mataji,
Yes, Mataji.
the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Again I shall declare to you this supreme wisdom, the best of all knowledge, knowing which all the sages have attained the supreme perfection."
Oh my God.
What happened, Mataji?
Hold on.
Let me throw the knee.
So sorry. I have terrible fear of insects. Terrible fear.
You're being attacked.
Yeah, and the bee fell on my laptop, so that's it. I cannot avoid. Okay, so I have to close the window already. So excuse me for that, Mataji's.
Yeah,
Okay.
excuse me.
But kids will laugh at me. Oh, Mama, it's not going to do anything to you, but bee, I don't want to play. Okay, so Krishna is glorifying the best. Chapter 14 as best of knowledge. So what is this best of knowledge about? The best knowledge with regards to these three modes of material nature. So this is the best knowledge that you can find about material nature here in this chapter 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. All right. Okay. So earlier, Krishna glorified about this knowledge. In another chapter 4, Krishna will talk about the knowledge that when he was giving Bhagavad Gita, Krishna glorifies the knowledge. He will call it as, he will give a term for that knowledge. What do you remember? What term is that? It's called Raja. Anybody
Raja
can?
Vidya.
Yes, very good, Mataji. Raja Vidya, king of knowledge. Okay, and then he gave.
Brain is working, Mataji, after a long time.
Sorry, Mataji.
My brain is working still after a long time.
You have transcended, Mataji. Yeah, it's good. Sometimes we would have heard it, but it may not be. We might think that we don't remember, but it just comes like that. So that's how we don't know how much we have done service for Krishna, and at the point of dying, then Krishna's thoughts will come. Okay, hopefully we can remember Krishna like this. Okay, so Krishna already glorified the knowledge as Rajavidya, and then he's talked about transcendental knowledge. That's chapter 4. Okay, so when Krishna says that this is the best of knowledge in relation to the mode of material nature, it is important for us to understand how the modes of nature are affecting us. Oh, okay, we can't simply think, okay, this activity falls under ignorance, this activity fall under passion, this activity fall under goodness. Okay, I'm going to go into goodness. So it's not like that. Okay, I will explain why. So the important here is the problem statement is the modes of material nature binds our consciousness, and this is how our next body is determined, our next life is determined. So we need to understand this to get out of this. If you do not understand the problem, then you cannot find a solution. You will not appreciate the solution. Okay, and why this is important? Because many times people are not aware that their activities and consciousness is influenced by these material energies. So that is why Krishna wants us to understand this. It really makes a lot of difference in our lives when you understand it. This is really, I'm telling from my own realization. You try to apply this and see, you will see how your life changes after this, how you view things, how you view things that's happening to you, how you view your activities should be. You will have to discriminate. This is where your ability to discriminate will come in if you understand these three modes of material nature. Okay, so all right, moving on, right? Understanding the conditioning of the three modes is a powerful tool to assist on the path of self-realization. So at this point of time, we need to remember this. Why are we learning this? We want to understand how to come out of these three modes, material nature, because these are the causes that keeping us. Remember the three ladies with the strings, holding strings and holding the human like a puppet, so we are like that. So we want to cut that string. Okay, so we look at this. Yeah, okay, so we have a goal here. This boy, he wants to go for a concert. Okay, he has a goal. So the goal is not sufficient. He needs to know the process. The process to get to the concert is to get a ticket. All right, and to get a ticket, he needs money. And to get that money, we don't know what kind of hurdles that he will go through, what kind of obstacles he'll go through to get that money to buy the ticket. So the process is as good as important as the goal. If the goal is important for this guy, and the process to get the money, to process to get the ticket is equivalently important. Okay, so similarly, this is us. We want to think of doing devotional service, okay, but there is always some hurdles and obstacles, and to understand and to cross it is very important. Okay, as important as the goal, as the devotional service itself. Okay, these are the things that are obstructing us, making things difficult for us to advance in the spiritual path. So can we have some examples? What kind of hurdles or obstacles that you probably are going through currently in your spiritual path? You are like here about a year already. So how your life has changed, and if you are having any hurdles or obstacles, so maybe we can share a real life examples. Okay, if you want some clue, it's like in the beginning, my parents were an obstacle, especially my dad. Okay, because for him, he had heard a lot of things about Hare Krishnas. Okay, so he had bad impressions because of that. And then some other hurdles were like, I used to stay in the temple very late to do flower decorations, things like that, because sometimes the festival decoration will go very late. So I go back late, so my father will be very unhappy. So these are the things. Then he will say, oh, you have to come back early, things like that. So it's very difficult for me to come back early when the service is not done. So how do I solve it? I had to buy my own car and drive, or stay at my auntie's place, which is near to temple. So this kind of thing made my father happy. Okay, it's because we know father, he's very concerned about the safety. So I managed to find a solution. So these are the things. So anybody would like to share what are the obstacles or hurdles on your way in your practice of Krishna consciousness? No hurdles, no obstacles to share?
Myself, Mataji.
Yes.
Because I came here after all those hurdles. Yeah. So my first hurdle is my own health issues, because I used to have very severe sinus. Okay, it's only recently, like for a few weeks, I stopped sneezing. Yay! So
Hey, Jai.
yeah, it was very, very bad. My nose would just get swollen. So it was to the level of sinus I had. So one is health, another one is other problems. It's too personal for me to share. But when it brings me to a very breaking down, emotionally breaking down, I am not able to focus. So that's why when I come to class, I always tell Mataji, I really can't focus, but at least I will, turn on my ears and listen, even if I'm not willing to speak or involve actively and, be jovial and funny like today or what. So at least I want to listen, I tell Mataji. So yeah, my own personal problems that stops me from going for classes. My mind will say, "You don't have to go to class, lah. Never mind, just sleep. What for you want to go for class and all those things?" But I say, no, just shut up. I tell my mind, just shut up, okay? I say, no, at least I must listen. I must turn my ears on and listen. So these are the common hurdles, lah. But the sinus one is the initial one that I had, which was quite pretty bad.
Yeah, that's very valid, this one, Mataji. And it's a very troubling one to health issues, right? Sometimes because we cannot go here, go there because of health condition. And we cannot sit very long for classes. What else you mentioned? Personal problems can distract us also. Okay. What else are the problems? Finance problems that we cannot get to temple. So these are the obstacles. We can't afford our own altar or things like that. So these are all hurdles and we need to cross it. Okay, we need to know how important is it for us to cross it, how important for us to have the desire to cross it. Okay, and for some people, giving up smoking is a very big obstacle. Okay, that they have to give up. Giving up meat eating is a very big obstacle. So for example, if they want to be vegetarian but the family doesn't allow that, or they force them to eat, so these are the obstacles. So this is a big problem for us to become devotee. Okay, because also association with people who are not interested in devotional service, this is also can be an obstacle to us. So we have to choose our association carefully. Okay, the attachment to someone who is not spiritually inclined. Okay, this is a problem. Okay, so we need to know where we are, and we have to be firm on the improvement that is required in our life. All right. Okay. So let's talk about how the creations happened. So we have a bag of rice, right? We have a bag of rice and some bugs come out. And then people think, oh, the rice gave birth to bugs. So is that logical? Okay. So we will see how that is not acceptable. Okay. So can I have somebody to read this? Verse 3. How did Jiva come in contact with nature? Is scorpion born from rice? Lata Mataji. Have you read, Mataji?
I read just now, Mataji.
Okay. Next, Kala Mataji. Anybody? Sorry, maybe I didn't look at the names just now.
I read, Mataji.
Yes.
The total material substance called Brahman is the source of birth. And it is that Brahman that I impregnate, making possible the births of all living beings, O son of Bharata.
Yes. Okay. So we have to understand that Brahman is that energy of Krishna that spread all over the creation. So that is the material nature, the nature. The nature, people think that nature has given birth to the living entities. Just because the living entity appearing in the material world, it doesn't mean the material world is giving birth, or the material world is the source of the living entities. Okay, so how we can have bugs in the rice? Okay, of course, logically, it's because some other bug has come and laid eggs. So from there, the bugs hatched and then the bugs started coming from the rice. Okay. So it's because a mother came and laid egg in the rice. All right. So similarly, how did we come to the world? The seed was planted by Krishna in the material world, and thus we appear. So understand, huh? So the wrong understanding is that the rice is the source of the scorpion. I don't know why they use scorpion, but let's take it as bugs. Okay, can rice be the source of a bug? No, the source of a bug is another bug. Okay, so it's not right for us to say the scorpion is born out of rice. The rice is not the cause of the scorpion. It may have given the facility for the mother to lay egg and for the egg to hatch and the bug to come out, but it is not the source. Okay, the egg was laid by the mother. Okay, and rice is not the cause of the scorpion. So similarly, material nature is not the cause of the birth of the living entities. Okay, the seed is given by the Supreme Father. Okay, and they only seem to come out as product of material nature. So this we need to understand. So for this, Krishna has directly given the answer here. Somebody please read for us, please.
Yeah, read Mataji.
Okay, Mataji.
Okay. It should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed giving father.
Yes, so these two verses, 14.3 and 14.4, this explains how the soul comes into the material world and how it is placed within the modes of material nature. So we are from the seed of a Supreme Father. Okay, that is Krishna. So Krishna has made all this, giving birth is possible. Okay, so it's a very famous verse. I'm the seed giving father. Okay, so, and he says that he is the source of all living entities. The source is Krishna, not what? The source is Krishna, but not the
Nature.
Yes, the source is Krishna, not Mother Nature. Okay, very good. You got that point. So material nature is the mother. Okay, it supplies the living entity with the body. Okay, yeah. Making possible the births of all living entities, making the birth possible. Okay, now everything that takes place is due to combination of body and spirit soul, all these interactions. Okay, so another point here is that, so when we say that we all came from one Supreme Father, what does that show? What is your understanding? That we all came from one Supreme Father. Kala Mataji, when I say we all came from one Supreme Father, how do you relate?
Krishna, is it?
Yes, that we all came from one Supreme Father, because he said here, he is the seed-giving Father. So what comes to your mind when we say we all come from one Father? How do we treat others?
We see everyone as Krishna.
No, we can't actually. We can't be Krishna.
We see all as our brothers and sisters.
Yes, that's the point. We are all brothers and sisters because we all came from same father. And who's our mother?
Material nature.
Very good. Okay, so far so good. Okay, this is the flow. This is the flow of the understanding. Okay, so this is true for which species of life? This, that we all came from one Supreme Father, that the material nature is our mother. So two is applicable for which species?
All
Humans.
species.
All species are. All species are humans.
Cannot all.
Human, is it?
Humans are Homo sapiens.
All species of life.
Okay, let's put in the chat. I want to see. All species or only human species? There are 6 of you all here. Put in the chat. I want to see. This concept is applicable for which species? That is not a species. Master Mataji is. Krishna is the seed-giving father for which species? It's very simple. We have human species, animal species, plant species. Basically, I just want to know whether it's only applicable for human species or all species.
All city.
entities. Okay, Roja
All
Mataji,
city.
Rasni Mataji also all.
All.
Yashoda Priya Mataji also says all. Lata Mataji, human.
Life.
Who else? Kala Mataji, Guna Mataji.
All species of life, is it, Mataji?
I want to get the polling first. Keputusan nanti saya bagi. What do you think? You can relate that Krishna is a, see here, it should be understood that, okay, Krishna already given the answer there. Who has not yet answer? Is Guna Mataji there? Mataji, are you like driving or?
He is the Bhagavana, means he is the God.
Okay, so the answer is all. Okay, all species. It doesn't matter whether it's a plant species or animal species or human species or whatever species. Why? Why Krishna is a seed-giving father for all? And this concept is applicable for all. What is the similarity that we all have? Back to the basics. What is the similarity? What do we have, all of us in common? These plants and
Soul.
animals.
Soul.
Yes, we are all got soul. Okay, so whatever that has soul, the seed has to come from the Father. Okay, and we take different bodies. It's only because based on our past deeds. So who is the Father?
Krishna.
Who is the mother?
Nature.
Nature.
Material nature.
Material
Okay,
nature.
so a woman can't give birth to a child on her own. Okay, there has to be a seed-giving father. Okay, so we should understand that life does not come from material nature alone. There must be a cause of all causes. Okay, now we are going into the how the modes bind the pure soul. So now at this point, you all know already what are the three modes of material nature. So here I'm going to go really fast. Okay, so there are three modes of material nature here. It is called goodness, passion, and ignorance. Okay, when the eternal living entity comes in contact with nature, O mighty armed Arjuna, he becomes conditioned by these modes. The moment a body, a life is put into this material world, automatically he is influenced by these three modes. Okay, so these images will help us to understand more of these modes of material nature. So we cannot always say that, oh, okay, I want to be in goodness, or okay, right now I'm in ignorance, I'm going to transcend to mode, passion, and after that I'll go into goodness. So it doesn't happen like that. Okay, so like this, you see there are three main colors: orange, blue, and red. So there is always, at all time, there is always a mixture of mode in us. It's very difficult for us to display only one mode. Okay, there's always a mixture. Okay, only that the tendency is more to goodness or more towards passion or more towards ignorance. So we always have this competition. Okay, so the same thing like color, right? If you mix a red and yellow, you get orange, you get blue. If you mix red and blue, you get purple, like that. So we are always here either purple or orange or green, or sometimes we have all of it. Okay, so this we need to understand that we do not come under the influence of one particular or one single mode of nature. It's always a mixture. Okay, so now we are going to move on how the material modes bind the jiva. We want to know how the ignorance control us, how the passion control us, how the goodness control us. Okay, so remember the question that I asked earlier, Mataji, but I'm in goodness, should I worry? I'm not in passion or ignorance, I'm in goodness, should I worry or not? Yes, I think we should worry because why? Whatever it is, we are being handcuffed. One person can have iron handcuff, one person can have silver handcuff, and you may have golden handcuff, but handcuff is handcuff. You may have a iron cage or silver cage or golden cage, or you may have a small cage, a medium cage, a big cage, but the cage is a cage. All right. A prison house, a bird in the cage is also in the cage. A convicted criminal is in a prison of a country. Okay, and he cannot like show that he's superior to this bird, but basically they are in the cage. And this material world is a cage. It's an augmented. It's a humongous, it's a huge prison. Okay, but it's a cage. We are in the cage. Different kind of handcuff, but we are not free. This is what the picture is actually saying. Okay, it is binding. It binds your hands are locked no matter what, whether it's a gold, silver, or iron. So this we have to remember. Of course, goodness is better than passion and ignorance, but it is not the best situation to be at all times. Okay, so remember, all the three modes are binding. Okay, remember that. Okay, so now we have different examples for the three modes. Okay, so these are all revision slokas. Okay, those who are under the mode of goodness, they are always full of knowledge and they are always happy. Okay, let me read this. Yeah. O sinless one, the mode of goodness, being purer than the others. So it's better than the other two. It's eliminating and it frees one from all sinful reactions. Why? Because you know how to discriminate. Oh, that is bad. It is very wrong to murder. It is very wrong to rob. It is very wrong to cheat, because you have knowledge. All right. And because you're aware of these crime reactions, you are having happiness. Okay, you are having happiness because you have knowledge. You are able to discriminate. So this nature is always a pretty prominent, and people who are brahmanas, okay, because they are always engaged in worshipping the deities, chanting the mantras. So the life is usually clean, tidy, things like that. Okay, and then we have scientists and philosophers. They are always engaged in activities to acquire knowledge. So they are just minding their own business. And the poet also, they are harmless, all right? A philosopher, poet, they are harmless. Okay, they teach others. So these are all the characteristics of people under the mode of goodness. Okay, how does it bind? This is the binding factor. Happiness, knowledge. Oh, Mataji, but you say this is the good thing about them. Yeah, this good thing is what is binding them. Why? Because they have a tendency to be superior to others. Okay, they will feel, oh, I am better than this person because I have more knowledge. So this is what it binds them. And these people, right, and forever they will think they are satisfied and they will not try to transcend. I'm fine, I'm happy, I'm comfortable, I'm not harming anybody, I'm not engaging in any abominable activities, I'm fine. And there is no need for me to transcend this. Okay, so their knowledge doesn't go beyond that. Okay, however, that position of being in a state of goodness is very conducive for one who wants to advance in spiritual life. It's like how you have a house near airport. Okay, but if you do not go to the airport, purchase a ticket and get a flight, you are not going to go anywhere. So this is like, I'm in the mode of goodness, I'm comfortable. So you can't say like, I'm next to airport, it's a great life. No, it's not a great life yet. If you want to go to another country, you have to buy the ticket. You have to go to the airport and get on the plane, and then you can go. Just by being in the mode of goodness is not sufficient. Okay. Okay, so yeah, this is the understanding. So now we are done with mode of goodness. So understand, so that is, it is better than the other modes, but it is still not the best. Okay, it is a very conducive place to be, mode of goodness. But if you, unless and until we understand the importance of understanding this, then the mode of goodness is not useful for us. Okay, so we need to take advantage of this. Next, mode of passion. So mode of passion is talking about unlimited desire and longing, so much of desire, so much of greed. So passion is not only between a man and a woman, but it is likened to the attraction between a man and woman, because the attraction between man and woman is very strong. So like that, we can have a very strong attachment, strong attraction, and a strong desire to things, right? Sports car, fast car, so much of money, big house, this and that. So this is being passionate. So when you're passionate, you will work hard. When you work hard, you get lots of what from the activities that you do. What is that? What do you call that? What do we call that? When we do work, what do we get?
Reward.
Okay, so we call that fruits of the work. So these are the fruits of work that binds us to the to our activities, our consciousness, and which will be determining our next life. Okay, the mode of passion is born of unlimited desires and longings, O son of Kunti. And because of this, the embodied living entity is bound to material fruitive actions. So what is the binding factor? Here, the binding factor is happiness and knowledge. What is the binding factor here? Who can tell? There are two factors here that is binding.
Desires and longings.
Yes, very good. Sura highlight. So yeah, that is the point. Okay. So we can, when you ask yourself, what is wrong in being passionate? Because we have unlimited desire and longings. And these are the things that binding us to our fruitive actions. Okay. Okay. So I will just skip that. And we come to ignorance. All right. So ignorance is people like this. Drug addicts, sleep. Sometimes they die in sleep. They don't know what kind of situation they were in when they die. All right. So what is the binding factor here? This one, yeah. Madness, indolence. This is the result. Okay. It's delusional. Okay. Laziness. Too long sleeping. So these are all the binding factors. These are the things that bind the conditioned soul. Okay, so these are the activities. So these are all revision, yeah. So I'm going to just browse through this. So basically, you need to understand what kind of activities falls under mode of goodness, what kind of activities falls under mode of passion. Okay, the mode of goodness is more like a calm, peaceful, tidy, cleanliness. These are the mode of goodness. Passionate is so much of desire, so much of longingness, and working hard for fruitive actions. Okay, and then ignorance is not doing anything, sleeping, drugs. Okay, laziness, madness. So this is ignorance. So this is how these factors bind the conditioned soul. So in Kali Yuga, sadly to say, mode of passion and ignorance is more dominant. Okay. So prominence of a mode is sometimes you feel like very good, sometimes you feel very passionate, sometimes you feel ignorant. So which means these three modes is always changing. Three modes are always changing. Like, very simple, right? Morning we wake up, usually we do prayer. So your mood is very nice, calm. After that, as the day advances, you have to work. Then when you come back, then you want to sleep. So this is how, can you see goodness, passion, and ignorance? It's like that. All right. So this is what's happening in a day. But and the lower three pictures showing what happens in our, because a child might not know anything, so he's in ignorance. And then our middle age is where we, can you all hear me, because my internet connection is showed unstable? Okay, yeah? Can you hear me clearly? Hare Krishna.
Yeah, now okay.
Okay.
All right, so in the middle of our life, we work so hard to accumulate money, followers, jobs, and things like that. So when you advance, you feel like more calm, settled, retired. So you're going into mode of goodness. So this is how the modes are changing in our lives, in our days. Okay. So all this will change how, whether the mode is increasing or decreasing is determined by our karmas from the past. Okay. The more good things we have done in the past, then we'll have more of goodness prominent in our life. Okay, so it all depends on the, if you ask yourself why I'm so passionate, it's probably the karmas that we have accumulated. So we need to counteract that, right? It's good thing that we are human. We can make some changes. We can discriminate good and bad, and we can make the changes. Okay. And how do you define where you are? Is based on all this activity that we have just gone through. Okay, so if you want to find out this activity falls under what mode, then we can, take it as a discussion and then find out what is this mode. Okay. All right. So this is what happens to people who die in a different mode. Those who die in the mode of goodness, they go to higher planet. Okay, very simple, huh? All this revision. Huh? Those who die in the mode of passion, they live on earthly planets. Those who die in an abominable mode of ignorance, sometimes they take drug and die, like that, or they die in sleep. So they will go to hellish worlds. Okay, this is the destination of people, after death. So any questions here? If no questions, I will go. Okay, mode of goodness means dying in holy places. Die in the mode of passion means, like accident. This question and answer we actually covered in level 1. Okay, any questions here? Is it understandable? Okay, so upper planetary system, it really depends if you are based on your inclination. Okay, you can go to the ancestor loka or the yogi lokas, things like that, or the deva lokas. So there are so many planets in the higher planetary system. Okay. Okay, this one. It's a summary. I will give the PDF, so please go through this. Those who are in mode of goodness, these are the binding factors. Okay, and these kind of people are generally pious. Okay, people who are in the mode of passion, they have this kind of factors here: unlimited desires, intense unlimited desires, longings, attachment. Okay, and they end up in miseries. Usually they end up in miseries. Okay, ignorance, they end up in being foolish forever. Okay, what is that symptoms? Madness, laziness, sleep. So all this. All right. So Arjuna will ask a question. What is the symptom of someone who transcends these 3 factors? Okay, we already learned what are the characteristics of people who are influenced by these 3 modes. So what if you go beyond these 3 modes? What does that person do? What is his characteristic? And then finally he'll ask how to achieve that position. So Krishna will say this. These are all the symptoms. Okay, he does not hate illumination. He has no attachment. He is not delusional. Can we have somebody to read this? I don't want you all get
I read, Mother.
speaking. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Mother.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O son of Pandu, he who does not hate illumination, attachment, and delusion when they are present or long for them when they disappear, who is unwavering and undisturbed through all these reactions of the material qualities, remaining neutral and transcendental, knowing that these modes alone are active, who is situated in the self and regards alike happiness and distress, who looks upon a lump of earth, a stone, and a piece of gold with an equal eye, who is equal towards the desirable and the undesirable, who is steady, situated equally well in praise and blame, honor and dishonor, who treats alike both friend and enemy, who has renounced all material activity. Such a person is said to have transcended the modes of nature.
All right. So thank you, Mataji. Krishna directly answers what are the symptoms of a person who goes beyond this, who manages beyond this goodness, passion, and ignorance. These are the symptoms. So we saw the symptoms of people under the mode of goodness, symptoms of people under the mode of passion, symptoms of people under the mode of ignorance, and symptoms of a person who above these 3 modes. So always remember this term, transcendental. So the process that you go beyond these 3 modes is called transcending the modes of nature. Okay, so what is the next question of Arjuna? First he asked about the symptoms, right? What is his behavior? He asked the symptoms and his behavior, so which is covered here. What is his last question? What was Arjuna's last question in the previous verse?
How does one transcend?
How? Yeah, so we already know how to make profit. We know how to, we know what are the profit, what is the prospect of this. Okay, so now we want to know how to do this, right? How to join this business. Kena letak pendahuluan ke? Kena bagi advance ke? You have to give a membership fee ke? We want to know that. So that is what Krishna is saying here. Can we have somebody to read for us, please? English.
Can I read, Mataji?
Okay.
One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman.
Okay, so Krishna is giving the answer here. So there are 2 points here. One, the answer is Krishna say engage in devotional service. Is it simply engaging? Whimsically or suku-suku? Okay, today I do this, today I attend class, next week I don't attend class. Yeah, so how to engage in devotional service? What is the important point here? Who can pick up that keyword from the verse?
Unfailing in all circumstances.
Yes, unfailing in all circumstances. Okay, I cannot wake up, so I'm not going to attend the class. Oh, I want to, have fun today. I want to give a break. No, it's not that. Never mind. Mataji say there is never a loss or whatever. Krishna also say, right? No loss or diminution. Never mind. Today I attend. Next week I don't attend. Like that. So it's okay. At least some benefit is there. It's not that. Devotion service has to be done unfailing in all circumstances. Like Rasni Mataji, she shared today. She had some battle in her mind. The one part saying, okay, don't go. One part is saying, no, you keep quiet, I'm going. Yeah, this is what we want. Unfailing in all circumstances. And there is 2 words in Bhagavatam. It is called ahaituki apratihata. Ahaituki apratihata means without motivation. Okay, without motivation and without these 2 things, uninterrupted and unmotivated. It should be uninterrupted. No interruption should come in your devotional service, and unmotivated. Oh, if I go, then I'll get some money, or I'll get some pious credit. So it should be unmotivated. So always remember, unfailing, unmotivated, and uninterrupted. Okay, unfailing and uninterrupted is pretty much the same. Okay, so that's 2 things. And then the third thing is Krishna say, if you do this, if you engage in devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, you will come to the level of Brahman. Okay, so remember, this is not the Lord Brahma, okay, the creator. This is Brahman. Brahman is a stage where you are free from your desires. Okay, Brahman is one of the aspects of the Supreme Lord. What are the 3 aspects of the Supreme Lord? Brahman, Yashoda Priya Mataji. What is the second one? Brahman.
Brahman, I forgot already. Paramatma.
Yes, Paramatma.
That is yogis.
No. Anybody else? Starts with B.
Means Bhagawan.
Very good. Okay, Brahman means all pervading. We are tiny sparks of Brahman. Krishna is supreme Brahman. Everything is Brahman. All is Krishna's energy. Okay, understand? Next, Paramatma. He is the localized form of Krishna in all living entities. This is also an expansion of Krishna. So Krishna as Brahman expanded in the entire excitation is Bhagavan. So these are the these are the 3 aspects of Krishna. 3 aspects of realization of Krishna. Okay, so now again, Krishna says, if you have done full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, you transcend the modes of material nature and you will come to the level of Brahman. And we want to know, what is this Brahman? Now Krishna answers that. He's very direct. Who wants to read? This is the last verse. Anyone?
I read now.
Yashoda Priya Mataji. Okay.
And I am the basic of the impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, imperishable, and eternal, and is the constitutional position of the ultimate happiness.
Okay, so here Krishna says, I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman. Why he says he's the basis? What does that mean philosophically? Where the Brahman comes from? From Krishna. Okay, it's the energy of Krishna. So that's why he says he is the basis. If you switch on the light, how the entire room is illuminated? Because there is a light there, a light bulb. So that light bulb is Krishna. Okay, and the ray of light that pervades your entire room is the Brahman. It's like that. Okay, there must be a source. All right. Okay, and then Krishna mentioned this word, ultimate happiness, immortal, imperishable, eternal. Okay, immortal, imperishable, eternal happiness, ultimate happiness. So Krishna says that he is the source of all this. So one who transcend these three modes of material nature, they will get all this. They will achieve Krishna, the basis of Brahman, who is this immortal, imperishable, eternal, and he is the source of the ultimate happiness. Okay, this is the Krishna is defining the Brahman here. Of course, throughout Bhagavad Gita, Krishna spoke a lot about Brahman. Okay, so in chapter 14, he says this. Okay, Brahman is Brahma Jyoti. Again, Brahman is Brahma Jyoti, the Jyoti that comes from Krishna's body. It is a light emanating from body of Krishna. So what is the characteristics of Brahman? What is the characteristics of Brahman?
Immortal,
Mm-hmm.
perishable, and
Mhm.
eternal.
That's 4.
And is the constitutional position
Ultimate
of
happiness.
happiness.
Yes. So
Ultimate
again,
happiness.
Rasni Mataji, give me all the 4 key points of Brahman, the characteristic.
Immortal, imperishable, eternal, and ultimate happiness.
Yes. So this is the characteristic of Brahman. This is the constitution of Brahman. Okay. So one who can thus, situate himself in the Brahma Jyoti. Okay. He is equal to the Supreme Lord in quality. Quality, yeah? Just like a drop of water and there is an ocean of water. Both have same composition, atom and molecule, but they are different because a drop of water is so small, ocean of water is huge. All right. So if you transcend this mode, this one drop of water will go to that ocean. It will join. All right. But it will never become that ocean. It's always a drop of water. Okay. All right. So this is just a little story about a person who wanted to ride on a Rolls Royce, his desire in previous birth. So one day, one father and a son were taking a ride on his Rolls Royce. See, suddenly the son saw an aquarium shop. He told the father, I want a fish. I want, please buy me a pet fish. Okay, so he chose a pet fish. They took the aquarium in the car. All right, so the story went like this. The fish that's inside that, the bowl, the water bowl, who's sitting inside the Rolls Royce, he has actually desired in his previous birth that he wants to ride on a Rolls Royce in his next life. Did his desire fulfill? Is it not? Yeah, so it's not in a perfect condition. He's not a human sitting in the Rolls Royce. He's a fish, but his desire is fulfilled. He wants to take a ride on Rolls Royce in next life, and here he is. So Krishna never promised that what kind of body that we're going to get. Krishna has given the problem statement. He has given the process. He's given the cause and effect. If you do this, you'll get that. If you do that, you'll get this. So it's up to us how we want to make the decision. It is all about making the discrimination. Okay, so we have to be very careful what we desire and what we hanker for. Okay, so the safest is to only desire for devotional service, and Krishna will give what we need. Okay, so we can never be smart enough with our prayers. Even Hiranyakashipu, he tried to do this and that and this and that. Lord Brahma also given him all the goals that Hiranyakashipu wanted, thinking that he's very smart. Krishna came and worked the other way around and still killed him. So Krishna is much more smarter, very much smarter. He's the most intelligent. Okay, so that is this Chintamani story. We do not have time. Probably if you remind me next week, then I can tell this Chintamani story. Okay, so I think throughout the class we already done lots of recap, so that is fine as well. If I have any questions, I'll put in the group for the next 1 week. Okay, so let's interact and discuss. Okay, so I still not seeing you all sharing what you all have read. Didn't we plan that? Okay, so please try to share what you have learned or read. Okay, any questions? Is this okay today? Any questions?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, so 9:03 now. Sorry for the overshot because I spent a little bit time on the recaps. It's pretty important, all right?
It's okay, Mataji. Just 3 minutes.
Yeah. Okay, all right. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare
you,
Krishna.
Krishna.
Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, everybody. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.